We've got a listener question. In 2 more workouts, I'll have completed my first round of Strength Log's Power Building Lite. That is a program in our app. I loved it and I plan to do another round. My questions are about what happens when I start again next Monday. Will I be prompted to enter a new 1-rep max? Will the program pick up where I finished? And do you have any tips or suggestions for app settings to continue progressing? So Jason has been doing this program, Power Building Lite, which is the light version of our power building program, which focuses on kind of a combination between strength and muscle gains, hence the name power building. What do you say about the app-specific questions?
Jason will have to manually update his 1RMs in the lifts that are 1RM based, I think.
And what does that matter? What is the 1-rep max in this context? What does that matter?
I think there's 4 different exercises in the program that are based on 1-rep maxes. So you get the percentage that you're going to do your training for the day on. Like deadlifts do 10 reps at 65%. I'm just spitballing here. I don't remember exactly. And if he's going to do another cycle of the program and he's gotten stronger, it's a good idea to adjust these numbers a bit so that his training weights will automatically increase a bit in the app. So instead of, let's say he did 10 reps on 100 kilos and he raises his 1RM with 5 kilos, and the next cycle the app is going to tell him to do the 10 reps on 102.5 kilos to 225 pounds instead.
Yeah, so percentage-based programming based on the 1-rep max.
And this will deliver him a progressive overload, which is what we're all are looking for when we go to the gym, or should be looking for.
Exactly.
But
and in this type of program, like Power Building Lite, they are suited for someone who's no longer able to add weight every workout or even every week. How many weeks is Power Building Lite?
6 weeks.
Yeah, so this moves in 6-week cycles instead, where within the program, the weights and the volume is gonna move like a wave, but then also between cycles, you can increase the weight, hopefully, and get like this staircase or stepwise progression over the months.
So let's say he does 3 or 4 cycles in a row and he progresses every cycle just a tiny bit. At the end, he might be 10 kilos, 20 pounds stronger in a given lift. And that's quite good when you're not a beginner anymore.
Yeah.
I wish I could do that.
And one of the reasons I wanted to lift this question is because it's an interesting phenomena. Both, it kind of related to the effect we saw in this study, that these people who have been training for many years, they enter a study with a new routine and they suddenly make really good gains. And that is very often also the case when people jump on a training program, like one of our training programs. Often, not always, but often they see some sweet results.
Yeah.
And our opinion is that if you follow one of our programs and you get good results, well, try it again. Increase the weights by just a few percentages and try it one more time, and do that until you don't get results from it. So milk it for as long as you can. But it is an interesting phenomena that even if you keep increasing the weights so that you have a progressive overload, sooner or later, most people do get stale from it.
Yeah.
And what should one do at that point in time?
Just give up.
Yeah, quit training. Get back in a few years, make rapid gains once again.
The first thing I look at is what can I change within the program. I've done the template for a few cycles and it's given me good results, but now I need to change something. So that might be adding a few more sets or adding a few more reps at lighter weights and stuff like that. If I totally plateau, then it's a good idea to start looking at something else. But there's always a risk involved with going from something that has worked to something completely different.
Yeah.
It might give you too little training or way too much training.
Yeah. And you need to differentiate between, does it feel like I reached a physiological plateau, or is it just mental? Like, am I just sick of this, this program? Which also matters.
Absolutely.
But it might matter less, and you might be able to push through that.
The reason we even have this particular program in the app, Power Building Lite, is because the original version that has been out in the app since almost the beginning of the app, and there's so many people that have trained through one cycle of it, gotten great results, and then the feedback was, I've never gotten better results from a training program, but I'm never doing it again because I hated it. So I took that to heart and I made it. It's I wouldn't call it a easy program, but it has less work and faster workouts. You'll be done in an hour instead of 2 hours. And you might not hate life in the gym as much.
Yeah.
So.
And I've talked to a couple of powerlifters here in Sweden who have done our deadlift program, Deadlift Disco, many times. At least 2 people who have done it 7 to 8 times back to back. That is a 6-week deadlift program. You deadlift twice per week based on your 1 rep max, percentage-based training. 7 to 8 cycles back to back, which have increased their deadlifts by like 60 to 70 kilos, and not from a low level, like from an average level up to an elite level. And each time I've talked to someone doing that, I try doing that myself. But after like 2 cycles or 1.5 cycle, it just feels like I hit a wall.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like maybe I enter too heavy weights or something, and I should pace myself more, but I haven't been able to replicate that success myself.
You have, I don't know if you remember the exact numbers, but there was one dude who almost reached like 300 kilos in the deadlift.
Yeah, that was one of these people. I think he went from like 220 kilos for a 1 rep max, and 7 to 8 cycles later he was at like 280, 290 kilos or something.
Yeah, so almost like 650 pounds. That's a respectable deadlift.
Yeah. We also have one fellow who did it, and with an insane deadlift. He went from 340 kilos, was that like 700 pounds, to 350 kilos. So that's nice.
Now we're talking world-class deadlift numbers. Yeah. So, that's respectable.
So, I mean, if he just does it 10 more times...
Those 400 kilos, they are reachable. Just do it again and again and again.
Yeah, but it is a thing, this staleness from training, and I don't really know what to make of it, if it's physiological or mental or what it is. But if one enjoys a program and wants to run it again, well, if you feel like you can do it, just hit it again on Monday when your last cycle ends. If you feel like you want to do it again, but you need a short break, take like 1 or 2 weeks and train similar. Don't drop it entirely, but do some other stuff. Powerlifter coach Mike Teixeira has coined this expression of a pivot week, where like this week he plays between training blocks to, well, for many reasons, I suppose, both psychological, but also to, as the theory goes, resensitize to training, but we don't really know if that's a thing.
No.
Might be.
But I encourage you, Jason, to give it another cycle or 2 or 3 or 4. We have a Swedish Facebook group, and just last week there was a post in it with the question, are you like me? Do you always start a new program and just a few workouts in, you have changed everything in the program? And I would say that's a bigger issue.
That is a big issue. That is a great way to never get anywhere.
Exactly. So if people just could stick to these a bit more, maybe more boring programs, they would get better results.
Yeah, and I've struggled with this all my training career, program hopping. But it's like when you're going for a journey towards some destination and you keep changing the direction all the time. It's very ineffective.
Yeah, but
pick something and rather go too light than too heavy and just try to see it through.
Yeah,
and that is one of the reasons for why most of our programs are in this 6-week mark. It's doable to stick it out.
seems to be a sweet spot for a lot of people also when leaving the beginner gains behind. 6 weeks seems to be a good length of a training program generally.
Yeah. You can have one break-in week where you get everyone adapted to the program, and you can have one peak-in week in the end.
Yeah.